Hey everyone, I'm back again, and today I have a bit of a message for you guys, which has, again, as you guys know, coming from my personal experience and journey, and also with some questions that I've been getting and some struggles that I've been helping my clients navigate with recently. This should be kind of an interesting one for all of us to kind of dive into. So I can't wait to check in with you guys. So let me know where in the world you're tuning in from, and I'd love to hear your experience with today's topic, because we're talking all things emotional experience and how we utilize that for our own personal development journey. And I specifically want to talk about this because there's a lot of this kind of way of being. One of the stages of our personal development is actually to go through this process of feeling in control of our emotional states, right? And being able to choose them and select to be in the best possible emotional state. And that's absolutely necessary for our growth and our development. But really what I want to dive into with you guys is there is a new level of development once you've kind of mastered that one. And it will sound and feel, kind of like it's in contradiction to that first level of your own development in terms of, the owning of your emotional state and selection of your emotional state. But basically, this is something I've mentioned with you guys a few times, and it's ultimately been a big part of my journey, which I'm continuously unraveling new layers of. And in particular, I want to dive into why that is and what's the importance of our emotional journey. But I want to put it in today's message, which is ultimately that emotional chaos is a necessary part of your journey towards an authentically ordered life. So what on earth do I mean by that? Let's unpack it. So basically, all the work that I do, all the work that I hope you're inspired by in your own life is to get to a place where you're truly living from a place of authentic inspiration, where you are ultimately living to your highest potential, being driven from the inside out rather than the outside in, right? You're not reliant on external sources to tell you what you should or shouldn't do or how you should live your life. But in fact, you're discovering and developing yourself from the inside out. You're aligning with what authentically inspires you. Okay, so where does the whole emotional chaos section kind of come into this? Which is basically that we tend to create our lives from childhood, right? We all know this stuff. From the ages of 0 to 7, you decided who it was that you needed to be in order to get the love, acceptance, approval from people that you wanted that from usually parents, sometimes guardians, sometimes special other people in your life that you admire. But basically what happens is we create this kind of mask, a way of being in the world that generates the result that we're after, right? We get the approval, we get the acceptance, we get the belonging, whatever it is that we're after. And so basically we create this ordered way of being, right? Our identity, our ego, whatever you want to call it. But we create this way of being in order. So we've got this specific person that we've created with a specific set of values, with a specific set of beliefs, with a specific set of ways of being in the world that align with the ultimate outcome of getting that acceptance, approval, belonging, admiration, whatever it is. And basically we're not conscious of it, but we've created an inauthentic order to our existence. So what does that mean? It means that we have molded ourselves to what we think will get us the results that we're after from our external world. And so in order to live a truly fulfilling life, we have to get out of this inauthentic order that's led us for survival ultimately, right? And we have to want to make the transition from just merely surviving in our limited order of identity that's not actually true to who we really are. And we have to want to thrive in life. We have to want to go, you know what? this is chaos in my internal world to have this kind of order in my external world as to who I think I should be. And we're oftentimes not even conscious of how inauthentic we're being until we go on the personal growth journey and we're like, like first time ever maybe asking ourselves specific questions that lead us to a different result of who we actually are, and just first time feeling the misalignment that we may have going on from what's true for us at our core versus who we're showing up to be in our external world. And so basically, in order to make the transition out of this inauthentic order that we've created in our life, there has to be a time for chaos. And that is often going to come through the realm of our emotional experience, because our emotions are connected to a truth of who we are. They're also connected to all the different pivotal moments in our lives that kind of triggered us and made us feel like we needed to create an identity to protect ourselves and survive. And so basically, we have to realize that on this personal growth journey, on the journey of becoming the most authentic version of who you are, knowing who it is that you are, knowing what it is that you want, and having the courage to actually pursue that and make that a reality in your life, you have to realize that that inauthentic order that you've created, that limited identity that you've created that got you so far in your life to this point of survival, you have to realize that you're going to have to create some chaos in your life when you unearth and unpack that inauthentic order and work out which parts of this are actually true for me and which parts of this identity have been created for mere survival and belonging in my life. And to know that they're very different paths in our lives when we're going for survival versus deciding that we're going to thrive in life, and we want to thrive in life, and we deserve to thrive in life. And so this is the navigation that I go through with every single one of my clients. And also I'm going through a big section of it right now in my life, which I'll give you a little bit more insight into some realizations that I've had over the last few days in particular. I've kind of been taking you guys on that journey with me. So I've got some new realizations going on right now. So I definitely want to share that with you. But oftentimes, and I had a message from one of my clients this morning, and they were really struggling with their emotions, right? And they were like really just not knowing how they were going to be able to move through them, not giving themselves any time to do so, and just really struggling, feeling overtaken by the chaos of their emotions. And basically, what goes on is when we are on an inauthentic pathway, we often have those emotional experiences that feel chaotic or feel negative, right? And really what the reason is because it's unearthing all this stuff for us to go, hang on, to like go, stop, put on the brakes, look at what you're doing in your life. What path are you on? Whose path are you on? Why do you do what you do? Why are you doing things that are out of balance with who you actually are, right? So they're forcing us to look deeper, to go deeper. And particularly, as you guys know, with all the clients that I work with, the first stage of coaching with me is all about clearing the past, right? Because you can't move forward into a future when you're being anchored by these limitations and these limited parts of your identity that you're being blind to. They're holding you back from creating what you actually want and entering a thriving state in your life rather than that survival state, right? That's trying to keep you anchored to survival when ultimately what you want to do as a person is get to a stage of thriving and self-actualization. So basically, if you're unearthing all the things that you need to clear from the past, and and it's getting clearer and clearer that you've chosen a path that's inauthentic to your soul, to what actually drives you and inspires you, it's really no wonder that you're experiencing emotional chaos. So instead of rejecting and repressing that, and instead of resisting and trying to push that away, what you need to do on this section of your journey is to ultimately accept that this is a necessary part of your evolution, is the emotional chaos that is being unearthed, and just know that it's actually helping you to get deeper and clearer and more connected to who it is that you are as a human being outside of that limited identity, that limited order that you've created that's got you to this point so far in your life. But ultimately, it's no longer going to fulfill you. It's not going to create fulfillment in your life. It's going to keep you in self-protection, and it's not going to move you forward to the life that you could be living and the potential that you could be actualizing in all areas of your life, right? So most people are too afraid of any sort of chaos. They need absolute certainty. So they're quite happy to keep their limited identity and not question it, and, you know, better what they know than what they don't know. And that's why the majority of people get to the end of their lives filled with regrets, right? It's well documented. And so instead of that, we have an option to go and accept that, you know, on this journey of entering my highest potential, actualizing that, and stepping into a truly fulfilling life, you know, then I have to accept that there's going to be emotional chaos on the go. Now, let me take you back a couple of days. If you guys have been following along with my messages, and, you know, I had that funny moment where I actually got totally wiped out for the day, and I was on the couch. I had no idea what was going on for me. I really felt like I have no logical reason to feel so exhausted, right? I was just completely wiped. I could barely move my arms. I was just completely lethargic, right? And so it got me into this mindset of like trying to find a logical reason for how I was actually feeling, right? And so I actually thought maybe I've got the coronavirus, right? And I let you guys have a big laugh at me because as projected, because I was totally fine the next day, I did receive my negative test result yesterday saying, nope, you do not have coronavirus, the COVID-19, right? You don't have it. So we all had a good laugh at that. And what I was feeling in the moment was, okay, maybe it's just that I got burnt out. Maybe I just, you know, I haven't been making enough time for myself. But it was actually, in fact, a bit deeper than that. And I'm very grateful for somebody in my life right now who was able to reflect some things back to me as well, and really just spark a new level of my self-awareness based on their own journey and their own experience with, you know, this kind of allowing of the emotional chaos to come up to into fruition, into our reality, so that we can ultimately get clearer on what's truly going on for us. And basically what really I feel wiped me out, and I had the exact same experience happen to me again after I had this deep conversation about what was really going on. I got totally wiped out again yesterday, and I can tell fully in my face. I'm not sure if you guys can see or tell within me, but like I am really dealing with the emotional chaos that's going on. There's a lot coming up. And like I said, I had the same experience being wiped out again yesterday. And I could look at that and go, and I could get caught up in the logical reasons for that. And I could be like, okay, I've got to do this for my health and this for my health and this for my health and blah, 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 blah. But in actual fact, it's not always about your physical body. Sometimes it's very much connected to your emotional chaos that's being unearthed because there's a new level of your realizations of an inauthentic order that you've been creating in your life. For instance, for me, it's been this, and I've been on this journey in particular for the last 12 months, like really deep, but I've just entered a new stage of this, which is, as a little girl, I kind of intuitively learnt that if I shut down my connection and emotion to my emotional experience, it was going to create a lot more harmony in my external environment, as opposed to create disharmony and disconnection. So, you know, nobody told me to do that, right? I decided, as we all do, between those ages 0 to 7, we kind of mold and decide, you know, in such an unemotionally intelligent kind of part of our lives. We haven't learnt much, we haven't experienced much, but we make these pretty major decisions that we take with us into our adult existence. Basically, mine was to disconnect from that and to be the happy, enthusiastic, always finding the good, always blah, 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 all that kind of way, right? And basically, that's what I'm like unearthing a bit more of that. And it's been very draining because really what that's done has allowed me to enter survival, right? As I grew up, it created survival, but I had a deep yearning for real intimacy and connection, which I still do, right? I've got a very deep yearning for that. It's very important to me. But if you can't be the full expression of your true emotions, then you can't really have the intimacy and depth that you might desire, as I do. And so I've had to kind of realize and unpack a new level of this inauthentic order I've created in my emotional states and allow this kind of revelation to come through that has created emotional chaos to wipe me out, to stop me in my tracks, to, all this stuff being unearthed. And ultimately, I need to accept that that's on my way, not in my way. And this is the thing that we don't do a lot of the time. We think, oh, that doesn't feel good. It's in my way, right? I'm just going to get rid of that. But actually, and like I said, for every client I work with, you have to go through the clearing of the past. It's going to unearth all those inauthentic orders that you've created in the person that you are. And you need to be willing to accept that there's going to be emotional chaos as we unearth and we unpack. And the reason why we want to do that is we want to get you off the path of survival, just merely surviving in life. And we want to get you on the path of thriving and feeling truly fulfilled in your life. So we have to unpack what's inauthentic, that order that you've created that's inauthentic. We have to create chaos in order to consciously create authentic order in your life and in your existence. If I did not unearth my emotional states and get connection to them and acceptance of the full expression of my true authentic emotion as a human being, I would never get to the depths of fulfillment that lay and await me in the depth of intimacy that I can create only from a place of full expression of the truth of who I am. So can you see what once helped me to survive, which was a disconnection from the expression of my true authentic expression or feelings in the moment, that helped me survive and it created order. But it won't get me to where I want to get to, right? It won't get me to fulfillment. What I now need to do, what I've been doing and new levels of it right now, you never quite make it, right? There's always another layer of the onion. And I kind of like that because it's just always, there's always potential for growth. And that's, your personal progress is actually where your fulfillment as a human being comes from. That combined with contribution, as you guys know. But basically, this is the stage of the onion that I'm up to, which is a new level of acceptance of my emotional experience. And it's chaotic. Right? And it totally wipes me out. It's wiped me out to the point of the couch twice this week. Twice in 4 days, 3 days or something. Two out of 3 days have been wiped out, right? So it's, I have to be accepting of that because I know what's coming. I'm already feeling it. Right? Like I'm already going through that right now. And given I've still got a long way to go, like we all do, right? There's, like I said, always that next layer. But I'm currently in that and I have to accept that I can't be all on, positive, enthusiastic, passionate. I love that part of who I am. But it's just one part of who I am. And this other part is actually connected to a really deep sadness that I was very afraid to confront, and I really did so majorly about 6 months ago, and that's been the next part of my journey. But basically what I've been able to do, because I've been able to accept my emotions and go into this, and I'm just about at a new level of acceptance as of yesterday and where I'm going from here. But basically what I was able to do with that sadness is the moment I could really step into that and really immerse myself in that deep, deep sadness and accept it without resistance or judgment, it actually transitioned into joy. And what it's done for me is actually given me new access to a connection to what's really authentic and true for me. And it's a beautiful place to be, because what that does is, and I'm feeling it right now. And what it is it's like, it's the transition point from sadness to joy that alerts me to what's true and authentic and inspiring to me. It's such an amazing compass for my decisions and my direction, the people that I want to have in my life, the direction that I want to move my mission, and all sorts of things, right? It's like, it's this new found authentic compass that I've only been able to access because I've been able to go deeper into particularly that emotion of sadness. That's the one I'd been working on. And it naturally took its progression into this transition into joy. But it's not about being one-sided and just, okay, I'm just going to be joyful all the time. And it's not about going into the depths of sadness all the time. What it is it's in that transition point. It's in that equilibrium, in that balance between the sadness and the joy. That's ultimately that part of equilibrium is the deepest connection to your authentic nature, because it's not in judgment of either side. It's in the full spectrum of where you can go, right? And that's probably a whole other topic that I could go into the depths of. So I won't go too much more into it right now, but my message really for you guys is today is to just accept that emotional chaos is a necessary part of the evolution of you towards your most authentic self. All right? We've created inauthentic order in the identity that we've created for ourselves. And that will make us survive. It'll get us by. But if you truly want fulfillment, and you don't want to just survive, you actually want to thrive, you have to be willing to accept the emotional chaos on that journey so that you can ultimately be able to discern and decipher between what's authentic and what's inauthentic and create conscious, authentic order to the next part of your journey and your path. All right, and this goes for every single area of your life. So hope that serves you, hope it's a value, and I definitely want to check in with you guys. So drop me a comment, let me know where in the world you're tuning in from. Have you got any questions or comments or words of wisdom that you want to share and contribute to the conversation? You guys know I love getting to connect with you and hearing your thoughts and your perspectives. So let me jump in. I've got Yon in the house and Judy and AJ. Thank you for showing up and for your kind words. And Banks in the house. Awesome. And Brian, greetings from New Jersey. Glad you are well. We tend to lean away from chaos and uncertainty and run into the safety of the known. Awesome message, VJP, about connecting to the chaos. I love that, Brian. Totally, this is the major thing that keeps us so stuck and small and limited in our lives, is this desire to just have certainty and control and order and no chaos and no uncertainty and none of the unknown. But in actual fact, as you guys know, it is through chaos that we can actually create authentic order in our lives. So never be afraid of creating chaos in an inauthentic order, in an order that you've created or molded that's not going to lead you to fulfillment. It's taking you away from fulfillment. It's taking you away from your authentic nature. It's actually just trying to get by for the external world, trying to belong, but you're never really belonging because you're not actually being true to yourself or sharing with anyone who the depth of who you are is. So you always feel disconnected anyway. It's like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy that you do not want, right? So you have to accept the chaos on the journey so that you can ultimately create the conscious order that's truly authentic and fulfilling for you. And given it's not like you just do this stuff once, right? Like, look what I'm going through this week. And I've done a lot of growth over this last particular 7 years, right? It's been nonstop on a daily growth journey. And I still, in 2 out of 3 days this week, have been wiped out on the couch because of the emotional chaos for the next step in my journey and my evolution. And if I discounted that, I wouldn't get the growth or the fulfillment that I'm after. So you just have to realize that you're evolving as a human being. So what you're conscious of right now, or what you're able to accept right now that's inauthentic for you, that's the part that you need to focus on now. But just realize as you grow and evolve as a human being, as you get clearer and more certain about what it is that you want and who it is that you'd be really proud to be in this life, you're going to have more moments where you have to create the chaos in what's now been discovered as an inauthentic order so that you can have the potential of creating authentic order for the next leg until you run into another realization about some sort of inauthentic order that you've got going on that's gotten you so far in your life that won't get you to the next stage. And you have to be willing to accept the new level of chaos is the necessary part of your journey right now. And that's just how we roll, right? So just get used to it. So I love that, Brian, and always grateful to see you, my friend. And Michael's here as well. And big respect for you too, Saeed. Great to have you here. And Fareen's here, yay. And Brian, I feel like the first half of my life has been about building and living through my ego. And now I find my journey to be living through more enlightenment and stripping myself of my ego. Boom. Love it, Brian. And isn't that just so true? And most people probably live the majority of their life stuck in an inauthentic order, right? You might want to call it your ego. There's different discussions around ego and, being able to see its benefits and what it does for us and blah, 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 blah. But yes, in the way that you are using it here today, Brian, that's awesome, and just to feel so grateful that you are somebody who has discovered like what that difference is, to be able to compare and contrast about what does it feel like to be authentic and what does it feel like to be inauthentic. Just like I've shared with you guys many, many times, my journey of having that inner battle and like just deeper part of me just knowing I wasn't on the right path, and then the other part of me, the fear-driven self, just going, well, you got to stay on this path and finish what you started, and you don't have choice here, and all this sort of stuff. What are people going to think? What are your family going to think? All that sort of stuff. And then having that woman stand up and be like a mirror for me into my future, who she was 40 years older than me. And she had lived the path that I was venturing onto. And she was able to be so grateful to make the realization of how inauthentic that path was for her and what it had cost her in her life, but feeling so grateful for how young she was to actually be at that place of realization so she could live the rest of her life out to be authentic. That was such a gift to me, right? Because I was battling feeling too old to make a change. And she was so grateful with 40 years on me about how young she felt to be able to live her life authentically from there. That was the moment everything shifted and shattered for me, right? And I was just like, whoa, I got to be grateful. And so each and every one of you guys who would even tune into a message like this and confront this stuff, because most people are too terrified. They don't want the chaos. They want order, and that's it. They don't want to go there. Right? And so just congratulate yourself on this journey for being willing to actually confront this sort of stuff. Because like I said, you guys are like the 1%. Most people don't want to go into this place. They don't want to accept any sort of chaos. And so unfortunately, they will live a pathway of mere survival and be filled with regrets, unfortunately, and end up with that number one regret of the dying. I wish I had have had the courage to live a life true to myself rather than one I felt was expected of me. That's what inauthentic order does for you. Be willing to go through the chaos to upheave all of that inauthentic order you've created so that you can ultimately consciously create authentic order so that you can thrive in your life, not merely survive. So love that, Brian. Love the journey that you're on. Appreciate you being here. And Ives is here as well. And Shamim from New York City, great to have you here. And Ryan and Brian, I'm wondering what's everybody's definition would be for thriving in life. I feel like we would have many different definitions. Spot on. Oh, this is a major piece of the work that I absolutely adore doing, because it's so much of our personal development is, or the personal development world is, this kind of one size fits all. This is what success is. This is what it means to thrive. This is what fulfillment is. But ultimately, we all have a unique part of us that is most inspired by something that's different between you and me and the next person. And there's ways of really tapping into that and getting some clarity. And it's really, really beautiful to understand that. But one way that I do see this one size fits all in personal development, and then it becomes individualized to you, is that your authentic fulfillment and ability to thrive is a focus on your personal growth and your ability to contribute. Now, your personal growth, you want to find what authentically inspires you, that you're willing to push through the challenges that inevitable, right, on that growth path, because growth is challenge, right? That's what happens. But if you find what authentically inspires you, you'll be pulled through the challenge. You'll be willing to take whatever it is that you need to take in order to get that growth and that progress. And then ultimately, you also want to contribute. And the most meaningful way for you to contribute and thrive is in what authentically inspires you. That's why all the work that I do is in clearing away the past that's preventing you from having a connection to the truth of who you are. And then being able to discover the authentic self that you are, being able to develop that and being able to contribute through that, right? That to me is the one size fits all of thriving in this world for fulfillment and depth of meaning in this world, right? But then each of us has an individualized pathway for that. So I appreciate your question, and I hope people can drop some comments, and we'd all love to hear about that. That's awesome. And Jean is here as well. And Brian, are you reading any good books lately? That's so interesting that you asked me that question, because I actually just downloaded 2 books today that I haven't yet got into, but I'm very excited about getting into. And I can tell you what they are, I think, if I've got them here. But basically, they're 2 books. I'll drop the titles for you if you want to know them. But basically what they're all about is what I'm currently going through in my life right now, which is this deeper connection to my emotional experience and how that manifests in my body. So I'm so sorry I can't remember the titles right now because they're brand new, and I literally just downloaded them based on the recommendation from somebody who really supported me in my life yesterday to a new level of my own self-realization. But basically, there's one from Dr. Peter Levine, I think, and I can't remember the other one. So I'll drop the titles if you want to know them. But outside of that, I have the last books that I've really been immersing myself in have been the books from Jeff Brown, Grounded Spirituality, Soul Shaping. I've been really diving into his work, and I'm actually having him on the Limitless Potential podcast to dive seriously deep next week. So next Thursday, 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So you're not going to want to miss that. And as a special announcement, tomorrow, 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So check it. It might be your afternoon or evening if you're in the States or most other parts of the world. But basically, I am interviewing the world's apparently only recovering narcissist. So this is going to be a very interesting interview. So if you have dealt with narcissists in your life, if you've struggled with that, I really love this guy's work. He's an author. His name is Larry White, Zen Recovering Narcissist, he's known as. So I can't wait to dive in, and I hope you guys can join me live for that interview tomorrow. But it's going to be an exciting one. And so just as a side note. So love the question, Brian, and would love to hear any of your suggestions of maybe what you've been reading or anybody else listening. And Jon, self-awareness is in true clarity will allow you to break through to a new vision of what's to be in one's life. To be better than you were yesterday is all well and good, but rest is essential. True that. It's internal wiring. Chaos is all around. Our ability to navigate is within our individual authenticity. Oh, I love how you put that, Jon, and so true. And yeah, definitely. The more we can get clear on what authentically inspires us, the more we're at peace with the chaos that's inevitable in our lives, right? So because we've got something pulling us through, we've got real meaning and purpose behind why we're going through the chaos. And so that's super important. Right, so I love that, Jon. Thank you so much for being here and sharing today. And Bill's here. Nice to see you, my friend, always. And Kevin, hello to you. So good to see you. And to Zara, good to see you as well. So I really hope today's message has served you, has just got you thinking about, you know, your own emotional chaos and how much of that you may resist, and just knowing that, you know, that emotional chaos is an absolutely necessary part of your journey towards your authentically ordered life, right? You're created in authentic order. Your identity, who you thought you needed to be to survive. It won't get you the life where you'll be thriving in fulfillment. So you have to be willing to go through the upheaval of that inauthentic order into that chaos that comes out a lot of times in that emotional chaos, right? Because those deeper parts of who we are and what we've locked down and suppressed, in order to create conscious, authentic order so that it will direct you to the next leg of your journey that's true for who you are, and you're not just merely trying to survive. All right, so I hope that supports you. And a quick hello to Laura and Andrew who are just joining. I hope you guys catch a recording, get a ton of value from today's message, because I'm just about to sign off. But before I do, as always, my message for each and every one of you guys is to go out there and live authentically, to love deeply, and to contribute meaningfully. Hope this has been of value to you. If it has been, please do share it. I love that when I see you guys sharing. I'm very, very, very grateful. And also, I can't wait to see you guys hopefully live on Limitless Potential tomorrow. So on the Limitless Potential Facebook page, I'm going live with the world's only recovering narcissist, Larry White, tomorrow, 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Hope to see you guys there, and then it will be out on the podcast. If you haven't subscribed to the Limitless Potential podcast, definitely do that. You can do that on all podcast platforms, iTunes, whatever. And I put out posts there. There's over 100 really amazing interviews already there for you. So if you want something to learn from and grow from, it's a great platform, and hope to see you guys tomorrow. So much love. Thanks for showing up today, guys. Thanks for contributing to the conversation, and I really look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Much love.